Morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Ask a Traffic Cop. Why am I hitting the loop? Oh, I'm hearing it. Come on, go away. Why is it doing that? It's doing that because I have TikTok streaming, with a delay. Good morning, everybody. Let's try it again. This is another episode of, Ask a Traffic Cop. And I'm your host, Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And today is a special day because I have a guest waiting in the background. We're going to talk about, I don't want to ruin the surprise. We're going to talk about something cool. In the meantime, I am going to share with you what I promised I would, which is the song that I asked Suno to make for Police Week. Not Traffic Week, Police Week. I had a lot of different hashtags in my head here. Let's see what it came up with.
Want to make a difference? Would you like to serve your community? On the streets and highways and communities across Ontario, police stand tall, answering the call, protecting us all. They're just people helping people every day, making sure we're safe from the street to the freeway. With courage, with honor, they lead the way. Join the team, find your place today. Join your place today. Join the Toronto Police, make a difference, shine so bright. So many roles, so many ways to serve. Join TPX to find your home, the best career for you and me. Join today and you'll see primary response detectives, canine tactical units, riding horses, motorcycles, even bicycles. Community outreach, traffic safety too. Every day there's something new. Every day there's something new. They're just people helping people every day, making sure we're safe from your street to the freeway. With courage, with honor, they lead the way. Join the team, find your place today. Join your place today. Join the Toronto Police, make a difference, shine so bright. So many roles, so many ways to serve. Join TPX and find your home, best career for you and me. Join today and you'll see primary response detectives, canine tactical units, riding horses, motorcycles, even bicycles. Community outreach, traffic safety too. Every day there's something new.
I had to stop it because it's too much. If you're watching, you're probably on one of the channels above me, and that's because we stream there every day. Wherever you are, we appreciate that you're coming in to join us. Now, this is a show that, it's for you, but it's about answering your questions. So if you've got questions, be sure to drop them in the chat. And what do you think of the background? The flashing lights? You'll see it again in a second when my guest jumps into the screen. Now, if you are not already aware, we take this show, we download it, and then we upload it into podcast format. So if you're wanting to drive around listening to my voice, you can do that without breaking the law or burning up data that you could use for other stuff. So Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, Spotify, those are just some of the many podcast platforms that host our show. So go and follow us wherever you want to follow us, and then, take us on the road with you. Now, back to this. Quick little bit, because otherwise I'll totally forget, and that's just what's going to happen. Vision Zero Enforcement Team. I want to talk about that. We are special that we have a team that's dedicated to enforcing Highway Traffic Act rules. That's because we want to protect lives. We want to go after people for doing the big four. It's all about preventative measures, changing driver behavior, one ticket at a time. So we talk about speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. That's what we do every single day. They go out, they change behavior by issuing tickets to try and dissuade them from doing it again. Because if you get a big old ticket, you probably won't do it again. Now, there are some that will. Some people don't learn. And for those people, there's escalating measures. Losing your license, having insurance that you can't afford, all the fun stuff. Yeah. If you don't want to meet one of our officers, I suggest following the law. But if you are let's see here. If you're in 43 Division and an 11 Division breaking the law, you're likely going to find your way to meeting one of these officers. They're in neighborhoods like the Junction, Weston, High Park, Roncy, Bendale, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, Guildwood, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. It's just a thing. And, so don't break the law. Now, what do I do here? What do I do here? Is it time to, let's do a couple quick hellos. Because I didn't, I skipped over that, and then we're going to go to our guest. So We have Northern Pike, who says, hello, Sean and beautiful world. And then we've got Tim Shallow with a good morning. And we have Akela Draconis with greetings and salutations. And we'll continue with more of these greetings in just a moment. But first, I'm going to bring our guest, Devin, in. Are you ready, Devin? Yeah, I got the nod. Okay. Devin Banks is a director with Haas Alert. And, well, I got to put you big screen. Why aren't you big screen? Here we go. You're big screen now.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, welcome to Ask a Traffic Cop. Thanks for coming in virtually to be on the show and share some messaging, because it's an exciting day.
That's right. Today is Canada's National Slow Down and Move Over Day.
Now, some people don't understand that slow down, move over is even a law, and it's developed. It came into play to protect emergency services workers and tow truck operators who are on the road servicing and working essentially where they work on the road, getting you to a place of safety. And it requires people to pull over and get out of the way. They have to slow down, and that doesn't mean like down to the speed limit. It means significantly slowing down and moving over to an available lane if one exists and is available, or simply slowing down and giving them space.
That's right. And it's really important because we lose, for example, there's a tow truck operator who is killed every 6 days just working on the side of the road in North America. And most of these are, young men who are out there just trying to make a living, and they're putting their lives at risk. But of course, also police, fire, EMS, and even construction crews. It's very, very dangerous on the side of the road. So it's really important that everybody follows this law.
Absolutely. Now, today it's official. We're going to put out a bunch of content on it, remind people. We talk about it all the time here, but it's something that needs a day. So I'm glad that we're here talking about it. Now, you work for a company that actually produces a product that's pretty unique. You want to tell us what it does?
Yeah, I would love to. So I work for a company called Haas Alert, and what we do is we actually are able to get messages inside the motorist vehicles about a half to 3/4 of a kilometer before you guys even reach the scenes, letting you know, breaking through that barrier of your car and saying, there is a tow truck ahead, you need to slow down and move over. There is a police officer ahead, you need to slow down and move over. There's an emergency vehicle, a fire truck. And these messages are super important because, as we know, distracted driving has become normalized.
Sure.
And most of us are good drivers, but unfortunately, we're thinking about what's for dinner, or, talking to our kids, or talking.
You're being very kind when you say most of us. I see a lot of bad drivers, but there are a lot of good drivers. I play. So the big thing is, it's not a product that you sell to people. It's something that new car manufacturers are putting into their vehicles, and it's something that will take over and dim your stereo or lower the volume, so you are actually made aware of what's coming up without having to do anything.
That's right. And well, there are certain things that you guys can do as motorists, is that we deliver a lot of our alerts. One of the ways is, like you said, native inside most 2018 or newer Chrysler, Ram, Dodge, Jeep. But we also deliver our alerts through the Waze app. So if you download the Waze app and you use that getting through Toronto, and I always say everyone should be using Waze, because we know in Toronto we have 2 seasons. We have construction and we have winter. So either way, we want to know what's the best way to get to our destination. And I actually have one here. I can show you what it looks like. This was an actual alert that I got while driving on the 401. And as you can see, this one says that Abrams towing is ahead. You need to slow down and move over.
If it wasn't mirrored, I'd totally be able to read that. But
yeah.
Unfortunately, it's reversed for us.
Oh, yeah. And then I also have one here. This is another one that I got while I was driving to the airport. So
now, what's amazing is actually I can decode it, even though it's backwards for me. I was able to say 1.6. Yeah, that's cool. 1.6 kilo.
You can get these alerts today in the city of Toronto from CAA, from Abrams Towing. There's other operators across Ontario, and every CAA in Canada is now using this as well to protect not just their operators, but also you as the motorist on the side of the road.
I love it. Well, we met quite a while ago. We'll have to have you in to talk about the Haas Alert system in more detail. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you popping in for a quick hello to talk about the fact that today is Slow Down and Move Over Day. And we'll be sharing that on social media for the day. So awesome. And thanks for hanging out. But we're going to jump into questions from our audience, unless I see anything that comes up specific to this, which I don't see yet. So we'll say goodbye, but thank you so much for popping in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And please make sure you share the message with all of your friends and family, and not just today, but every day is very important.
Totally. Absolutely important. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was Devin from Hoss Alert, and what a cool concept! What a great concept to be able to get messaging for safety to break you from whatever you're doing. You know, you're focused on your driving, you're focused on so many things in your life, and this just snaps through. And I got to tell you, I use Waze every day, and I'm happy to because it gives me all sorts of wonderful updates like traffic, construction, police ahead, even when I might report that they're not doing enforcement. But that's a different story. What I'm doing is getting alerts and being able to predict what time I'm going to get home, which is what my wife always wants to know. By the way, shout out to my wife, who is magical and wonderful in every way. And Devin hit a message and said, thanks so much. Well, of course, it was our pleasure. So let's get back into things. We got hellos we left off, and we got Paul who says, hi, Sean, good morning. I got to say, you ain't boring. Great show yesterday. Well, thank you very much. Yesterday's show was at headquarters, and I have actually, thank you for reminding me, want to queue up the video in case you missed it. Although it's been going all over social media. That is the recruiting video, the little sizzle reel that has been set up by Toronto Police Recruiting and Headquarters. It's awesome. It's 1 minute. We'll play it before we start talking about employment, about halfway point of a show. But yeah, we're totally going to talk about that. What do we got here? We got a quote from Michaela for later. Northern Pike, who says, I saw an article on Twitter in Ontario. We are proposing that if you steal a vehicle, you will lose your license. I've not heard about that. That sounds interesting. I don't know if a car thief cares if they have a license, frankly. But I mean, hey, any way to dissuade people from breaking the law is a good thing. What an interesting concept. Julie says, good morning, everyone. Radek says, good morning, everyone. Thin White Line Interceptor says, good morning, Mr. Shapiro. And then we've got a reminder. Please put the letter Q in front of your question so I know it's a question as opposed to it not being one. Now, I will say that TikTok is not working, so I've got to try and reboot it because I don't see any of your magical questions popping up, and I know that they're there. So give me 1 second to try and fix that. We have here chat. I'm in the wrong browser. Here we go. There we go. See, things were working so well yesterday. I just assumed they were going to work today, and you can't assume anything. So we're going to turn on the bot and see if that fixes things. So don't give up on us just yet. If you are watching on TikTok, I have not been intentionally ignoring you, but I have not seen your messages. If you do want to sort of skip the line and not deal with the technological difficulties that often plague us, then please feel free to join us on YouTube at youtube.trafficcop.ca. It'll take you right to our channel and you can jump in. All right, boom, boom, boom. I want to do a quick switch to a different account so I can moderate and possibly see your questions here. Nothing like challenges in the morning. I mean, who wants an easy? I got to turn the volume down. Okay. We got somebody that's really dedicated to being a jerk. Hang on a second. I will get them if they repeat themselves. All right. What we got? Yes, we got. Oh, hey, here we go. We got nothing working. Okay, I'll just do it I'll do it as manually as possible. There is no way to predict whether this works or doesn't work. But by the way, hey, Ryan, he is the Thin White Line Interceptor, and he's on all the platforms. Chase is in the house. He says he's back, and TikTok's not working. One of our unofficial producers, yes. We've got Linda who says, good morning, hero. Love you all. Thank you. Linda's a big supporter of law enforcement, and it's Police Week, so sending love to police is awesome. We got Akela says Chase is on the case. Trying to, once again, reboot. Let's see if this is going to, if I refresh, probably won't make a difference, but we'll try anyway. Big Daddy's got questions about bans. Okay, we can talk about things like that. I thought I was banned from this. What happened? Why are you on my screen? I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you were muted rather than banned. Not sure. Yeah, TikTok's not working. Cool. Hitting the button 6 times on the screen apparently does something. So let me scroll up to the top and see what I missed and try and catch up. Can you please explain the rules for funeral processions? And this is from Katrina Sim. I'll be on one next week, and I'm hearing mixed reviews as to whether you can go through reds. Let me be absolutely clear. You cannot go through a red light unless that light is controlled by a police officer directing traffic. There is no special privilege for a funeral procession. You are just a car driving. And if you have lots of car driving, they will likely warn you that you cannot go through a red light because that's against law. There's nothing at all. I know some small towns allow it. They do things. They get away with it. It's all great until you get hit by another car, and you would be the one going through a red light and at fault. So don't do that. If they want to hire a police escort, they can. That is where police officers control the intersections to allow you to go through them, whether it be officers waiting on the route or having multiple vehicles that pass and close intersections off to make sure you get to where you're going safely and efficiently. And it does happen. That's a service that the police makes available. I assume in all communities, but maybe only in Toronto. I'm not sure. Okay. This is Chase wanting to know, and he's asking on behalf of, and thank you so much, Chase. Chase is actually taking questions from Big Cat, which is somebody who's in the chat. Wants to know about the hiring process. Is it easier for special constable? It's different. They're both difficult. There are fewer requirements. There are fewer requirements to become a special constable. It's a different thing. I started as a special constable. I was a court officer. There was less of a run slightly. Their vision requirements are different. Like you can be colorblind you can have color acuity that doesn't include proper working color acuity. I don't know how to say that better. But yeah, there's different requirements. So check it out on the website. And we will be speaking about employment soon. The best thing, though, is to reach out to the recruiters at Toronto Police Talent Acquisition. It's a fancy name. Okay. No auto Aaron. Driver makes a right at light and I hit him going straight. Am I at fault? He makes a right at light. So turning vehicle is almost always at fault. If you are going through and you have the right of way, obviously you have an obligation to try and avoid collision. You can't just hammer down and go through that car. But yeah, that person who turned into your path, if you had no way of avoiding it, puts them in an at-fault position. You might be responsible for something else you've done, but that doesn't. The basics are that the person turning is at fault. Okay, see, here we go. Katrina jumped onto YouTube, but we already covered you from paying attention to the other chat. Okay. Chase is funny. That's right. Linda thinks you're funny, Chase. Ty wants to know if steering wheel knobs are legal in Canada. So I grew up thinking they were not legal. It turns out that they are an accessory for accessibility. People with physical disabilities can have them. There's no law that says you can't have them, as a matter of fact, at least not in Ontario. I've done a lot of research in it. The truth is that nobody really knows anything about them in terms of their legality. I've spoken to schools that teach people that have physical disabilities to utilize them. Now, there's some discussion as to whether or not you need to have taken the course to have them, but I see no place to charge someone under the Highway Traffic Act that applies to them, which to me says they're legal. That's just in order. That's how it's gone. Do I think they're a good idea is a different story. I don't think they're a good idea. Now, in old cars, when you had a giant steering wheel this big, you had to reach up and you had manual steering, so you had to crank it. I understood the purpose of having one. Let me suggest why you may not want one. Airbags and also hitting that knob. It's an accessory. It's probably made out of hard substances and will likely hurt you in the event of a collision. Just saying, the steering wheels, everything's built to collapse and absorb impact. That hard piece of whatever you're installing is going to change the dynamics of the safety stuff that's installed. Like, generally speaking, steering wheels are not, well, what am I looking for here as a word? They're not designed to have that knob. So they're not intended to be there if you get into a collision and impale yourself on one. Anyway, just saying. We got... Is it legal to remove my car's brand logo? There's no law that I'm aware of that would prevent you from taking that off. It's a sticker. It's a sticker with plastic on it that makes it shiny metal, but it's still a sticker. But I like that. I like the question. Oh, good. Here's this yo-yo. Sorry. Normally I put up with that person, but I'm not putting up with them today. All right. Let's see here. RG... Oh, this is the username. What does PC mean? Is it a rank? It is a rank. Police constable is the rank. That's the rank that I hold. I'm a first-class police constable, and I work at traffic safety programs in traffic services, which is a citywide unit of the Toronto Police. We handle all the police or all the traffic-related investigations and enforcement. But that's a good question. Police constable. Next rank up is sergeant. Sergeant Murray Campbell, who often joins us on camera, who is not standing here today, is a sergeant. Next level. Then we have staff sergeant, inspector, staff inspector, superintendent, staff superintendent, and then you get into to deputy chief, and so on. Actually, there's no so on. Chief is it. All right. Got a ticket for no front plate. What happens when the cop entered all my info wrong? I don't know what kind of wrong you're talking about. They made spelling mistakes. Did they have the wrong license? What would they do wrong? But the no front plate ticket is legit. If they made errors in entry, that might get rid of it. Oh, I see that my name was wrong, my birthday and the address he pulled me over was wrong. And you might have a reason to dispute that ticket. But the ticket for not having your front plate means that you need to get your front plate fixed. Like, you need to have one in Ontario. In Chase, it looks like everything's working. So you're duplicating, you're making work for yourself because now it's worked. Now it works. Is there a difference if your vehicle is insured or you are insured? Okay. So the deal is that if your vehicle is insured, your vehicle is insured. There is no insurance for you. You can only operate a vehicle that's insured. You as an insured person, well, you can only operate vehicles that are insured. If you're on a policy, it means that you are authorized to use that vehicle as a regular user of the vehicle. An occasional user of the vehicle, you can loan your car to somebody. If the vehicle is insured, you're okay. Okay. Not sure if this one, Etan, is there a difference? Oh, no, that's the same one. See, we're duplicating. Julia is asking inappropriate questions. What is this? So Katrina thanks us for the response in relation to funeral escorts. It's my pleasure to help. Thank you for Tien, who is responding to the insurance questions. If you put the letter Q in, I know that it's for me as opposed to just banter. All right. Brandon says, good morning all. Sorry I'm late. No problem. Barb C is sick of police. And I don't know what to tell you. We're not going anywhere. So you can go somewhere else if you don't like it. Let's see here. What do we have here? We're not talking about, okay. Don't know what Ender Lander is talking about. Are you allowed to drink and drive? If you mean water or non-alcoholic beverages, in Ontario, yes, you are, but not in other provinces. If you're talking about alcohol, then you know the answer. It's obvious. No, alcohol and drugs do not mix with driving, and it's not legal. Is it been 2 months, Chase? Holy moly. Chase has been off doing other things and not available to join the show, but we're glad to have him back. He asks the most interesting of questions to challenge me and ensure that I'm paying attention. So here's the first question in 2 months. Many dashcam models have screens. Is this something that could contravene screen visible? Like, would you advise them to be shut off? In terms of distraction and not, just drawing your eye away, they should be turned off. Not only it's better battery management and reduce heat being generated to, possibly ruin the device. But is it a screen visible to driver from the perspective of violating distracted driving laws? Generally speaking, it's handheld communication device or entertainment device being visible, or something that's providing an image that's distracting. If it's what's in front of your car, I don't think, personally, me, Sean, I don't think that it meets the grade. Could you get ticketed for it and then it becoming an issue in court for you to determine if the courts think it's appropriate? That's where it's going to be individual officers. There's nothing in law that says, can you have a dash camera with the screen pointing forward? Like, you can have a screen pointing backwards when you're in reverse and you're using a backup camera. That's legal. So is this not a similar thing? It's a way of seeing forward. I don't think it qualifies. But it's a think, not no thing. I'm guessing because it's kind of a gray area. All right. Oh. If a closed handicap scooter is allowed on the road, why can't I drive a golf cart on the road? So there are very specific rules about golf carts, and the closed handicap scooter or accessible scooter is a mobility device, not a golf cart. A golf cart is capable of much greater speeds. If you're talking about a mobility device that's designed to go sort of where the bicycles go, there's a lot of gray, still yet to be confirmed rules surrounding mobility scooters and personal EV micro-mobility devices. That's what terminology I was looking for. And they're not necessarily legal in their current form. There are people who have just basically put housings on their mobility scooters so they don't get wet, which I can totally understand. But I also have seen units that really are closer to being cars than mobility scooters with air conditioning and stereos and Bluetooth. There's a lot of stuff that's gray and really has no place on the road. But just saying. But your golf cart is very specifically identified and listed under the Highway Traffic Act as not being permitted, save and except in very few communities which are specifically listed as permitted under the Highway Traffic Act. There's pilots. There's a golf cart pilot. You can Google it. You can totally Google it. Looking for the question. There we are on screen. Cool. Linda says, I have to say that all heroes did an amazing job all week, and the music loved it. God bless you all. Thank you, Linda. If you missed it, Linda is a big fan of police and emergency services persons, and I'm always happy to share her messages of support with those that I meet. Brandon Clark says, good morning, Sean. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you have a great day. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Can I sue the seller if my odometer was rolled back? That is a civil dispute. You might be able to look at OMVIC. They may have policies. OMVIC is what does OMVIC stand for? Ontario, OMVIC. Let's do the actual. Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council, they monitor this sort of stuff. If you go to their website, omvic.ca, they'll have information about that. Did you buy it from a dealer, or did you buy it from a dude on the street? Check with them. There are avenues, but it might be a private small claims court kind of dispute. I'm not sure. Chase suggests it should be Sergeant Shapiro. I used to be an auxiliary sergeant, and I used to be a supervisor in court, so I've had rank before. I don't know if sergeant's in my future. I wrote for it a couple of years ago. I don't have the time in my life to dedicate myself, and it is such an investment of time. I took off weeks to study for it, and the people who are being successful at it are just devoting their lives to the study. And I've got family things that, well, I'm not willing to take a break on. But I had planned on becoming a sergeant, and now I don't know. We'll see. I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. Something to think about. If I became a sergeant, I wouldn't be here talking to you because I'd be transferred somewhere else to do other stuff and things. I don't want to abandon you either. Ravi says, good morning. Good morning to you. Ark wants to know, if I don't register my vehicle within 6 days of purchasing, what happens? Well, aside from the fact that you are eligible for charges under the Highway Traffic Act for failing to register your vehicle, the previous owner owns it. You don't own it. You got a problem. The very basic, you're at a $110 fine. You're driving an unsafe, unregistered vehicle. You're going to have difficulty, and that's just the first charge is $110. The fact that you're driving potentially without status, without a safety that's valid anymore, because you just can't do it. You're also you obviously have to be insured, but you have to be plated, so the plate charges would apply. Your personal plates that were previously on your old vehicle that are no longer attached are only good for the 6 days, so now you're driving without plates that are supposed to be on that vehicle. Why even go there? Why not just do it properly? Okay, Katrina Sims says, can you please remind people about stopping for school buses? Absolutely. Absolutely. Our children are our future, Whitney Houston. So, you have to stop. Even police have to stop for school buses. If a school bus is coming to a stop, generally speaking, well, we're finally changed to a 2-stage system where we have amber lights while they're still moving and red lights once they've stopped. When those red lights are flashing, you cannot pass in either direction a school bus unless you're on a divided highway, and then you can't pass from the back, but you can when you're on the other side of the highway, go the other way. For all intents and purposes, the average person in a city or community or municipal community, you got to know that in both directions you got to stop, unless it's a concrete or grass barrier between the sides of the road, which would make it a divided highway versus undivided. That was a really horrible example, but that's the deal. Don't do it, because not only is it a hefty ticket, you're putting lives at risk. Katrina says, sorry for being dramatic, but I'm a school bus driver and it irks me. It irks me too. But I will say this. The laws have been changed to accommodate automated enforcement when it comes to school buses. So if you're in a community that has automated enforcement on school buses, it means that there are cameras installed on those school buses, taking a picture if you pass them, and then you get a big ticket. And I think that should be on every school bus everywhere, because there's absolutely no place for this. Should also have automated enforcement for those people who pass streetcars with the doors open. Happens all the time. Needs to be enforced. Let's see here. With the popularity of wraps, how would you classify mermaid or chrome? I think that chrome would likely be silver. Just guessing. Mermaid, which I assume is multicolored depending on how the light hits it, would likely be multicolor. It would just come up as multi. But you do need to change the color on the registration if you are changing the color of your vehicle, even if it's by way of a wrap. Can I drive my aunt's car that she lended me without being on her insurance? She doesn't live with me. So if she lent you the car long term, then you need to be on the insurance, right? An occasional driver, let me back up. First of all, the car is insured, not you. So if you borrow the car and you drive it all the time and she just doesn't drive anymore and says, here's a car so I can save you insurance, two things are possible. One, it could be insurance fraud. And two, it may violate the conditions of the insurance policy, which means at the time of a collision, when you are trying to get coverage and you are trying to replace the vehicle or get coverage for you when you are hurt and in a hospital and can't work or go to school, they could deny you that claim, because they're not dumb. They actually do their homework. They investigate. So that's one thing. For the amount of money that you'd be saving, I'd suggest being listed as a secondary driver and doing it properly, or don't do it. Now, is it against the law? I cannot write you a ticket for driving your aunt's car that is properly insured. There's no offense for driving somebody else's car that is properly insured, assuming you have the proper license to drive it. So there you go. That's the story. You won't get a ticket from us, but you might get denied insurance coverage when bad things happen. All right. El Chumby wants to know, why do cops hate defense lawyers so much? I didn't know we did. I have friends who are lawyers. Some of them are on the prosecution side. Some of them are defense. They're just people with jobs to do. I have no problem with somebody who defends someone from being wrongfully convicted of something. I don't like the concept of defending people who are guilty, because sometimes through technicalities, people who should be held responsible get away with something. But at the end of the day, it makes us better. So I've gone to court. I'll tell you a quick story. I've told it before. But I went to traffic court, and I had evidence. I had a driver of a motor vehicle. It was a Mercedes ML430, I think. It was driving without headlights, like in Club District, or maybe it was Little Italy at the time. And the driver was a mechanic, not even the owner. It was the mechanic. He stole the car effectively. He borrowed it from the shop. And he was driving this Mercedes. I got up on the stand and I talked about this Mercedes ML430 with no headlights, and I made the observations, and I stopped the driver, and I got his license. I gave everything right. And the first thing that the defense said was, I moved to dismiss this case. We have not established that my client was operating a motor vehicle. I said it was a Mercedes ML430. I never used the word motor vehicle. So what that did was teach me a lesson. I will forever say motor vehicle in a testimony about motor vehicles. It's a game, and sometimes they win, and sometimes we win. Most of the time we win. Sometimes we don't. You know what? Was I angry in the moment? I was frustrated. Did I hate the guy who did that? No. He caught me. He caught me with a mistake. It made me better for it. Boy Mom says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Boy Mom. Okay. Talked about this. Is needling in heavy traffic legal in Ontario? I've never heard the term needling in relation to motorcycles and traffic. Needling is a new one for me. Lane splitting, what's the other one? Now I've got needling in my head. What's the other one? There's lane, what the heck is the other word? Anyone who knows what I'm talking about, let me know, because I can't think of it. But no, driving through traffic on a motorcycle is not legal in Canada, never mind Ontario. Lane splitting is when you're actually driving. Lane filtering is the word I usually use. Lane filtering is where at stoplights you walk it or drive slowly within traffic to get to the front of the line. That's an issue for me. You don't get any special privileges being on a motorcycle, but I will say that I understand and have no issue with a motorcyclist who decides to move 2 or 3 car lengths up and stop. That way you're not being a jerk trying to get to the front of the line. You're just moving forward so you're not, rear-ended if someone should be on their phone not paying attention. I get the idea of not being a human bumper for the car in front of you. Are police officers allowed to date and get married and have to switch divisions? Oh, it's an interesting question. So police officers who are, 2 police officers working in the same division who decide to date and get married, it can be a conflict. It can be an issue, whether it be anyone working under the same command. Generally speaking, someone's got to leave, but sometimes you may just move to a different shift. So yeah, I'm not aware of couples working together. I believe that's against policy. Jeffrey Dahmer. Apparently, this particular user likes to be referred to by serial killer names. Kind of creepy, I think. And then comes out with why is there so many car theft, but police don't do anything about it? Well, Jeffrey, if that's your real name, I just assume not. We do lots about it. In fact, if you were watching the news, reading articles, and following what's happening, we do a lot about it. In fact, we're very successful at shutting down and recovering vehicles. Is it stopping crime? No, we can't stop crime. We stop one set of criminals. Other criminals decide there's a vacuum. There's an opportunity to make some money, and money is the big motivator here. So, we do our work, and while we're over here, someone's playing over there. When we go over there, someone's playing over here. It's an old. Can we call it a career path? Criminality. People are always getting into the biz. Yeah. It's a never-ending fight. Let's see here. Toronto Road Cam suggests you set your dash cam screen to auto shut off after a couple minutes. I think that's mine. The last cameras I've had Blackview and I've had ThinkWare. Neither even have screens available, and they're high-end devices. Okay. Can I drive with my African driver's license to practice with my girlfriend who has a G license? No. Your African driver's license, if it's accepted, which I don't believe it is, in Ontario or in Canada for that matter, would allow you as a visitor time. If you're on the list, you can go to TrafficCop.ca. I've got a list under the useful links section at the back, all about driving with foreign licenses. Not everywhere will allow you to do it. Actually, let me check here. I'm going to go use my own link. TrafficCop.ca. Now, when I scroll down, if it ever loads, come on. It's not loading. Why isn't it loading? It's a no worky. That's weird. Can everyone go and check by today's technical support? What's going on here? Let me try a new window. Weird. Let me try it on this computer. I got multiple computers here. Boop-a-doo, boop-a-boop-a-doo, Traffic Cop. Maybe Linktree's down. Could Linktree be down? Does that happen? No, it worked on the PC. It's so strange. Anyway, scrolling down to the bottom, we have new residents and visitors driving in Canada. Is that the page I wanted to go to? Driving laws, rules, safety, Ontario. I might be on the different visitors. Knowing what you need to drive here, traveling outside of Ontario. Let's try this one. Visiting for less than 3 months, driving for more than 3 months. So if you're less than 3 months, you don't need an IDP. If you do, you so first of all, but there's actually even more information because not every country is permitted. Maybe that's only for converting your license. Anyway, TrafficCop.ca, it's all there. You can look at it. I've taken enough time from everybody else looking into it. But a G-Class license doesn't give someone who doesn't have a proper license authority. I would suggest if you're becoming a licensed driver in Ontario, go get your G1. Then Your G-Class, your girlfriend who has a G-Class license and 4 years experience can, in fact, supervise you. Can we talk about tinted windshields? Sure, Mike. They're not legal at all, period. What do we hear? What's the darkest window tint? Joshua wants to know. The darkest window tint, if we're talking the windows left and right of the driver, it's 30% for certification purposes. But regardless of certification, even if you have less than 30%, if I can't see into your vehicle, whether it's day or night, it's too dark and you get an obstruction or obscuring the interior of your motor vehicle ticket, and possibly an obscuring the driver's view ticket. Can I drive a tractor on the road? If we're talking about an implement of husbandry, a tractor being used for farm work, then yes. If it's just a tractor because you want to drive to school with a cool John Deere, no, you can't. Do you really have plate scanners in the cars? Yes, we can. Yes, we do. All of our vehicles are now completed with a device capable of reading plates in either direction at high speed. Like it's wild, the technology. Greg Marshall says, good morning. Ty Eagle. I heard that horses are a mode of transportation, and same with side-by-side four-wheelers. Are they legal in Ontario? Depends where you are. You cannot have a horse in Toronto other than police horses. The very specific permits required. I thought at one point that it might be available for everybody, but apparently Toronto has rules. I was not big on the horse. I wasn't reading up on horse rules. But in where Elmer Police College in Elmer, Ontario, the Ontario Police College in Elmer, Ontario, you see horses all the time. The Amish community there uses horses. Like you go to the local grocery store, there's horses in the parking lot because people use horses a lot. Scrolling back, here we go. And then in terms of four-wheelers, there are communities that allow them, but it depends on where you are. Toronto is not one of them. Katrina says, greetings from Belleville. Joshua says, thank you, man. You're very welcome. Well, that wasn't for me, though. It was for somebody else. Greg wants to know if it's a crime to roll back your odometer in Canada. It's fraud, right? You're messing with things. There's rules, but I'm not familiar with the rules. I know that they exist. You can't do it, but I don't know the ins and outs of it. Brando says, good morning, Sean. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for everything you do. My pleasure. Thanks so much. Let's see here. Chase is laughing. Keshia says, don't become a sergeant. Love your videos. Yeah, because I'd have to stop doing what I'm doing. What is this? Greg Marshall says Carfax.ca, great resource to check out history on the vehicle. Absolutely. Kennedy says, dude's been defending the money grab scam for a while. If you mean enforcement, that I defend enforcement, it's not a money grab. There's no money to be made in enforcement. We lose money. It costs us more to do the enforcement than anyone would get from it. We also don't get the money. I've never received a free toaster or vacation because of the enforcement I've done. But what it does do is make streets safer. So if that's what you're talking about, there you have my answer. Do you guys have plate scanners in the OPP cars? Well, we guys are Toronto Police. I don't know what the OPP have. I know they have them because Carrie Schmidt went online and was demonstrating them. I don't know if all of their cars have them, but they certainly have the technology. Mike says he's been driving for 6 months without registration. Until you get caught, I'm sure you're laughing. When you get caught, I'm sure you won't be because it's not a money grab. Your vehicle is not licensable for the road. Like at this point, you're running illegal. Good luck to you if you get stopped. Hope you have insurance because that's $5,000 to $25,000 and 6 months in jail, or up to 6 months in jail. I've actually not seen someone from my churches go to jail for it. I've seen lots of money get paid, but I've not seen the jail. I think people should go to jail for it. What is this? Glenn says, I once had a criminal past, cleaned up my act, and got a pardon and wanted to become a cop. So it's a case-by-case basis. If it was minor in nature, it's possible that now that you have a pardon, you might be able to apply, but it really depends on your history. If it was some kind of violent, horrible thing, you might not be able to do it. I would assume you wouldn't, and for good reason. If it was something like you were shoplifting when you were 17, maybe you could. I don't know. I've never worked in an environment where I'd have to make that decision. It's a case-by-case basis from what I understand. Can you drive a car from another country? What do you mean? Like if you're driving to Canada from somewhere else, can you drive that car here? If it's insured and safe for the road, yeah. Temporarily, you can't be here permanently. Can't just keep driving it. Chase says, I love the whole studio setup. Yes, and the table. Chase, check out this table. This is the table of podcasts. It is awesome. Okay. Yusuf wants to know, hey, dear, I just want to know if you get a license plate ticket, it's not clear will be going record of the driver. If you're driving the car and you're issued a ticket by a police officer, it's against you. If you're getting a ticket by an automated enforcement camera, it goes against the ownership or the vehicle owner because it goes against the plate, not you. Police officer issues goes against you, the driver. Automation goes against the plate, the owner. If you're heading south and a bus is coming north and stops at a train track with the lights on, do you have to stop? So a school bus doesn't, when they do their stops, they come to a stop, they don't put their lights on. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to open their door and close it. That's part of their policies and procedures and requirements under the law. But you can't pass them on a trail track, a railway track. That would be unsafe. But in terms of, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this, but yeah, you can't, like the other way, do you have to stop the other way for them? They're just stopping. Their lights aren't supposed to be on. They just open the door and close the door so oncoming traffic wouldn't have to stop. All right. I actually have my police foundation diploma and I wanted to be a police officer, but not anymore. Looking at what's happened. Oh, this is a political thing. So if you don't want to be a police officer, definitely don't become one because if you don't want to be here, we don't need you to be here. We need people who want to do the job, who understand how important it is. There you go. What are the majority of fatal or ridiculous accidents occurring? That's terrible. Someone trying to group people by jurisdiction. No, we have a lot of people who have fatal or ridiculous collisions because of driver behavior, not because of the local area code for which they park their vehicles. What is the limit of the amount of noise or sounds mufflers exhaust can make? The deal is very simple. For the charge of unnecessary noise, it's any unnecessary noise, and that could be based on whatever observations we make. If you're talking about the bylaw, there's a bylaw in the city of Toronto, and it's 92 decibels at idle, or anything 96 decibels and above at anything other than idle. It's a $500 ticket for those. So that the bylaw has a decibel rating. The unnecessary noise charge is not based on a decibel rating. Just noisy. Actually, there's a video that I'm going to produce. I'm trying to catch through. I've got a folder full of content I want to stitch. One of them happens to be about an unnecessary noise in a Lambo. I'll post that one tomorrow. Okay. What do we have here? Scrolling. This might be a good time to talk about not impaired driving. It's always a good time to talk about impaired driving. Drive sober, don't drive impaired. No drugs, no alcohol. That's an obvious one. What I was going to say is about employment as I'm scrolling through things. So let me play this video because it's such an awesome video. I want to share it with you.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply to.
I love that clip. It's awesome. It's truly awesome. Now, I must say, that James Earl Jones did the NYPD video many years ago, and it might have been the coolest video just because James Earl Jones did the voiceover. Heroes, always heroes. He was just, it was amazing. This is a really good, close second to James Earl Jones. What do we have here? Got some great questions on flagging. All right. I flagged it. Here we go. We have a couple questions here. My friend is a menace on his e-bike. He drives 60 kilometers an hour with pedal assist through a school zone. Well, 60 kilometers an hour means that that's not an e-bike. That's a motorcycle. License, ownership, and insurance is required. Speeding offenses are eligible. Your friend is driving a motorcycle that's battery-powered, not an e-bike, because the legislation doesn't qualify that as an e-bike. I didn't talk about, I did the video, I looked at a whole bunch of stuff, and then I didn't actually do what I planned on doing, which is talking about careers. So let me do that very quickly. I want to talk about it. It needs to happen. There's the careers button, new tab, careers, here we go. Take this off the screen. All right. Careers, by going to www.tps.ca, you can find out about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. You'll get to this wonderful page. You can get all the information about different jobs. And the reason I come here is not to tell people where to join the Toronto Police as a police constable, because that one's pretty obvious. It's to talk about civilian roles, because there are so many different ways to serve your community. And there's currently 7 positions: a social media specialist in corporate communications, facial recognition analyst. I didn't know that was a thing. Intermediate technical analyst in infrastructure, senior communications advisor, general counsel, communications operator, and a developer in the digital team. What is a social media specialist? You can make up to $105,628, and you can do all this stuff. So maybe that's a job. Chase, you're looking to come work for the Toronto Police? This one might be for you. In any case, check regularly, because these things change regularly. Postings go up and postings go down. And if you're not there when it is up, you missed the boat. Okay. What we got? More questions. When a police officer gives me a ticket and asks me to sign it, do I have to sign it? Evan, I'm assuming you are in a place other than Ontario. We don't require signatures on ours. It's got nothing to do with us. That could be a policy in the States somewhere. And my understanding is you do have to sign it. That's my understanding. It's not an admission of guilt in the jurisdictions that require you to sign. It's just I think it's a proof of service, but I could be wrong. It's not a policy I'm familiar with, because we don't do that here. If you get a ticket for license plate not clear, will it be going driver record? Yes, you're issued the ticket, not the plate. Is the violation for not having a clear plate is your responsibility. Whether you borrow the car or if it's your car, it makes no difference. Chase wants to know, 2 months from now is Honda Indy. Will TPS be there again? Yes. It's the Honda Dealers Indy now. They've rebranded, but we will. I've got the contract. It's just waiting for all the approvals from up top, but we are scheduled to be there, and I'm looking forward to it. Of course, the Friday is Fan Friday. It's always free to enter, so we'll be promoting that and reminding people to come say hello, because it'll be an awesome weekend. Love Canada 87 asks or says, I am 35. Is I am too late for joining? No, you're not. How old was I? I think it was 37 when I became a police officer. I'd been a court officer since 25 years of age when I joined the service originally. I'm basically 50, so you're not too late. And people in my class when I was 37 were 50 joining then, and there's people who have been older than 50 joining, so you're never too late. Do the job you want to do and be part of something amazing. What about Canadian driving in the USA long term? So the rules are similar to that of someone who is traveling here. If you become a resident here, you're no longer visiting, you're a resident. You have to get a local license. If you're becoming a resident in the United States, you need to change and get a local license there. You can't just keep driving on your foreign license. You might get away with it a couple times, but you're ultimately going to have problems. Do you have any input about this mandatory breathalyzer? There's been a ride program, but not seen often. What do you mean? So, okay, ride program is the reduce impaired driving everywhere, which, by the way, started right here in Toronto. It was originally the reduce impaired driving in Etobicoke. That's how ride started. But the way it worked prior to 2018 was that if we pulled you over and there were signs of impairment, we proceeded based on those signs. If we had evidence that you'd consumed alcohol, we believed that there was alcohol in your blood, then we can make a demand based on that suspicion of alcohol in your blood, whether it be an odor of an alcoholic substance or beverage, or that you said, yeah, I had some booze. So what's different now? Well, as of 2018, we can now make a demand for a roadside screening device without any suspicion of alcohol in your blood, which means we could just give everybody a breath test as you come through our ride program or just on every traffic stop. And it depends on the individual officer's plan. At the beginning of the shift, if I go out and I say, everybody I stop for speeding, I am going to check them for impairment. I then demand a breath test from everybody I stop, and everyone gets one, and probably some people are going to blow over. That's just the new rules. Mandatory alcohol screening means that it is required. You're required. Well, mandatory alcohol screening doesn't change the fact that you're always required to respond to a lawful demand, but it does change the requirements for us to make that demand. That's it. In the GTA, the OPP are now doing it for every vehicle stop across the region. Like everywhere in the GTA, they will do a roadside screening device for every single stop. Now, obviously, if they have signs, they don't use mandatory, they use the old style. They have suspicion, they don't need to use mandatory, they use the other, same thing. My thoughts are, if you're not drinking and driving, you don't have a problem. If you are impaired while you're behind the wheel or you have alcohol in your system, then you do have something to be worried about. And you should, because you're doing something illegal. You're doing something dangerous, and it's wrong. All right. My goodness, are we actually, it's 11 o'clock and I'm up to date? No, I'm not up to date. Let's have a quick look. I do want to, hey. Logan Grant is in the Dominican. He says, why aren't you in the Dominican with me doing this live? The weather is so much better. The driving here, no, not so good. I've driven in the Dominican. I've rented scooters and taken my life in my own hands. That is a different place to drive. I don't endorse driving there, but what a great place to visit. Oh, LJ wants to know, is there a Harley raffle this year? I want to win. There should be one. Have I seen any posters about it? I don't know. I'm going to have to start promoting it. Thank you for bringing that up, LJ. Let's see here. What do we got? Are you rather drive a one-wheel on the sidewalk? Okay, apparently I need to share this video with everybody here. And I'll do that by just jumping in and loading it. Is that going to work? I think it will. Okay. Let me load it. I want the opinions here. I want to know what you think. Upload a video. Go to my movies folder. There we go. So this is a video I put up on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, by all means, watch it. If you're not on TikTok, it hasn't been posted anywhere else, so you haven't been able to see it. Oh, Tax says, all Canadians have the right to unreasonable search and seizure. Refuse every time and lawyer up. Dude, if you think you're right, you're wrong. I mean, yes, you have certain rights, but this one's absolutely supported by the courts. You won't win. If you refuse to do a roadside screening device test or a sobriety test, a roadside sobriety test, or a breath test, or a drug recognition test, you're going to be charged. You're going to have all the consequences of having been charged for having failed. And it's so easy to prove that you didn't do what you're required by law to do. So for the person who goes by the name Tax on TikTok, you're wrong. And here, let's. This is what they said. But you're absolutely wrong, and you make life really easy for us to convict you because you're wrong. And then we have all this wonderful evidence of you blabbering on about how you have all these rights and not listening to the instructions. You're better off to do what you're expected to do, and then if you want to challenge it in court, you can do that. But you give us all sorts of great evidence when you do that. Anyway. Oh, Nick wants to know if radar jammers are illegal. No, they're not. Anything that prevents police from measuring your speed is illegal. Okay. Did it work? Did it work? Let's see if I can add this video. Let's see if it works. Video. Ooh, okay, I can't do it from here. Can I do it from... I want to share it with you. Let's try going into Enter Studio. Just going to mute. See if it'll let me do it. Oops. we go. Okay, this is the video that I was talking about. So the question was, where do you want me to be? Where did they say it? Did I lose it? Anyway, the person basically said, would you prefer I'm on my one wheel on the sidewalk? Here we go. Would you like to see a one-wheeled electric motorcycle? I got a video right here. Yep, that's an EUC, electric unicycle. It is a motorcycle according to the Highway Traffic Act in Ontario. And it's not legal for the road. It's license, ownership, and insurance, and you couldn't get that qualified for the road. It's unsafe. So that's a thing. Thought you want to know. Anyway, follow us if you haven't already followed us, because we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. See you. So that is a motorcycle according to the Highway Traffic Act. It's not an e-bike. It's not an e-bike has a maximum of 32 kilometers an hour. Those things do 70 or 80. It's absolutely illegal. And for the person who wants to know, would you rather I use it on the sidewalk? Well, it's illegal on the sidewalk too. It's illegal anywhere other than on private property where you have permission to operate it. So get off the road, get off the sidewalk. We have charged people who have become involved in motor vehicle collisions riding those, and they're the ones getting charged because they're on illegal vehicles. They may not have caused the collision, but they're still getting charged, even though the people broke in and run over. They caused the collision, or they're on a illegal motor vehicle. It's irrelevant. They're getting the charges for what they're responsible for, and the other people are getting charges for what they're responsible for. Tax says, this is government DNA collection. No, there's no DNA being collected for a roadside screening device. You're blowing to find out alcohol content. That's it. There's no DNA. We don't want your DNA. No. You get to keep the straw. There's no DNA. But tinfoil helmet, put it somewhere else. No place here. All right. Morzin says, OPP has said any traffic stop will include breathalyzer test regardless of what the stop. Yes, that's right. They're doing stops for any stop. Absolutely, they are doing it. And I think that's a great thing. We're not doing that as a policy, but individual officers may choose to do it for every stop. It's whatever they choose in advance of their, hitting the road, whatever they plan to do. Is OPP better than city police? I don't think so. We're the best. No, they're a good police service. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to keep people safe. Am I coming to the race this weekend at Mostport? I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. We talked about it last time I was on live. I have a couple of appointments on Sunday. No, I have a couple of appointments on Saturday. I don't think it's going to work out. I will try for Sunday, but I don't think it's going to work out. I'll message you afterwards. Did we talk about this? Yes, we did. Is drinking and driving increasing? I have to look at the stats. I think they're pretty consistent. I don't think they're increasing or decreasing. Mind you, I don't know what we don't know. Like, we know the people we stop. I know that, every weekend we tend to look at a snapshot. It's like 20, 25, 16, like it's somewhere in that range. In Florida, it's like an enormous number of people. I went to their one of their processing centers for impaired specifically, like all the sheriff's office that I visited they handle all the impaired investigations for the area for their what is it called? What is it called? It's not a state. The state is the state police. The sheriff is for the brain not working. Anyway, they were processing like hundreds. So are we doing better than them? Maybe. Rena Donato says, love your show. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. And someone just sent me a submission. Who is this? GGG. They have a question. All right. Boom. How old do you have to be? You have to be 18 years old minimum. Is it realistic to think at 18 you'll be hired? Probably don't have the life experience. I won't say no, but it's unlikely. The average officer being hired was 34 for a long time. That's come down. People in the 20s are now getting hired, but I think 18 might be too early for police constable, personally. You're just out of high school. Maybe get hired in parking. Maybe you get hired in courts and develop some life skills and then come into policing later. Maturity is a big thing. I'm not saying you are not mature. I'm saying that generally speaking, we find more luck with folks who are a little older, but don't necessarily cut yourself out of the game. Apply. Talk to a recruiter. See what they say. What is the job of the police tow truck operator, and how do you apply for that position? A friend of mine used to do that job. It's not called tow truck operator. I think it's service person. I think maybe possibly. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. But there's That's for like one of the jobs that they'll do is the towing of crime vehicles and operating and stuff. But they'll do all sorts of jobs within the garage. We have multiple garages throughout the city, so they had a whole bunch of different things. Drive trucks, lots of things. How do you feel when you see criminals turn their life around? It's amazing. If someone was doing something wrong and then now is doing right, they figured it out, they grew up or whatever it is. That's awesome. I mean, people should all aim for goodness, and if they can actually achieve it, that's fantastic. But some people don't care. Let's see here. Not sure what the where'd it go? Hang on. I'm trying to select a great comment there. Hang on a second. Someone who's talking about e-bikes. Someone who says the speed. Come on, where'd it go? I love it when we're on point with stuff. Here we go. No. Basically, they said the speed doesn't make it a different type of motor vehicle, suggesting that an e-bike or a... come on, where is it? Come on, where is it? Here we go. Not sure what the law is written, but... Sorry, not sure what law is written that makes an e-bike a motorcycle when it passes, but ERM, a speed doesn't make a different bike. Alamoo. So here's the way the law works. An e-bike is a motorcycle. It was always a motorcycle. Just because it has a motor and it's a cycle, it's a motorcycle. Gas-powered, electric-powered, it's like Tesla is still a car, even though it has a battery instead of a gas tank. Both are motor vehicles. All of them are motor vehicles. Here's where it gets funny. Law says if you conform to certain rules, we're going to give you a special pass. We're going to allow you to do certain things because we're being kind to you, and we want to have accessible, low-cost means of transportation. So if you follow all of these rules, no more than 32 kilometers an hour for a e-bike, no more than 500 watts power to the motor, not capable of going any faster than 32, not capable of peak performance above 500. I want to clarify. Being no heavier than 120 kilos and having functional pedals. Those take the motor vehicle and give it a legislative special privileges permitting you to operate it on the road without insurance, without it treating it as a bicycle. It's still a motorcycle with special privileges. When you go over those, you break the rules, giving it special privileges, you're no longer covered by that legislation. It reverts to its original definition and responsibilities of being a motorcycle. So, yeah, speed makes a difference. And an electric unicycle, well, it's not even covered under e-bike. It's a motorcycle because it has a seat in that particular one. It's capable of driving. It's a motor. It's propelled by anything other than muscular power. These are all things that qualify for impaired driving charges as well. If anyone wants to drive an e-bike or an electric scooter or a kick scooter or a electric unicycle, electric skateboard, those are all eligible under the criminal code because they're motor vehicles. Each province has its own code for what is permitted on their roads, and I'm talking about the ones in Ontario. But I think it's a great conversation. I love that people think they know stuff and share what little they know. Let's see here. We got a quote from Akela, but it's an Antonio Gramsci. If you beat your head against the wall, it is your head that breaks, not the wall. That's a very good point. No dad joke today? Nobody has dad jokes? Come on. Really? Apparently there's no dad jokes. Just checking here in case we got some dad jokes. Boy, tax is really ridiculous. We'll just say goodbye to tax. Tax is gone. My friend wasn't wearing a seatbelt and got a ticket as a passenger. What happens if he doesn't pay? Well, does your friend have a driver's license? Will it affect the driver's license? I mean, it'll be tickets owing. I don't think they'll be able to renew their license, but maybe I'm wrong. In any case, maybe they'll go to collections. I've never been in a situation where I've actually been chased for money for a ticket because I've had 2 tickets. I paid them. Let's see here. Oh, have you noticed more motorcycles using bike lanes to skip traffic? And my thoughts on it? Well, obviously my thoughts are that it's despicable. Those lanes are specifically for vulnerable road users like cyclists, and motorcycles aren't cyclists. In fact, the ones that are protected, you can't even use motorcycle-looking e-bikes in those lanes. They're restricted as to which ones you can use and which ones you can't. Very good. Oh, I missed the joke. I didn't see it. If you still have it, if you can resend it, I'll go to it now, but I can't go back that far because it's gone. But I have seen a whole bunch, and I've seen motorcycles with e-bike plates. Those deserve to be charged and processed to the highest extent of the law. Let's see here. Why can't you use your phone if you're pulled over to the side of with blinkers on and vehicle in park? If you are in a legal spot, you can. So if that's a place that you could park your car, get out and walk away legally, not get towed, not get ticketed for being there, then you can use your phone in that spot. But you can't stop in a no standing zone. That would be illegal. Or no parking even. You can't be in any place you can't legally park. You cannot use your phone. You must be able to safely get there, and then you can do what you got to do. What else we got? What about a pedal bicycle with smaller than 50cc motor? A pedal bicycle with a motor is a moped, which is now covered under licensing requirements for motorcycle. So you need to have a license and ownership and insurance, same as a motorcycle. Obviously, you can have a low power license. You can have a license that's restricted, but you cannot. It's not a bicycle. It's a motorcycle or moped, still requiring appropriate licensing. What is this? Twisted person. What has Twisted got to say? Lane changes in intersections are illegal to whomever suggested it isn't. Actually, Kodiak Panda, you're incorrect. In Ontario, you can make a lane change inside of a intersection. It's not the safest option. It's not the best option. You could cause a collision. You'd be responsible for whatever you cause, but it's not illegal in Ontario. Maybe somewhere else it is, but not here. Des Dos says, got pulled over going 40 over on the 401. I got a warning. What makes an officer want to warning? I would charge you for every kilometer over you did. So you got very, very lucky that you got someone that doesn't like going to court or doesn't, or felt somehow guilty giving you a ticket. I have no idea why that person's a police officer. 40 over is reckless. 50 over, I would have taken your car, like if you're on the 401, because 150 would have been stunt driving. I don't know why you got a warning. But you got lucky, because you're lucky it wasn't me. Let's see here. Country. What are we talking about? Ahmed says, keep safe. Cold Laker says, I'm your biggest fan, or your greatest fan. My apologies. I just assumed biggest, but greatest is better. Thanks, Cold Laker. How you doing? What is this? A lot of people want to know about this. I don't understand why there's such a this. Generally speaking, there's no specific law for accelerating quickly within the speed limit. However, it depends on the observations of the officer. It's very possible that you could be charged with stunt, careless. It depends. It depends on. There's no absolute yes or no here. How long do demerit points stay on your record? 2 years from the date of the offense, but they only go on after a conviction. So if it takes you 2 hours to get to 2 hours, if it takes you 2 years to get to court, they won't even be applied. They're outside the realm of eligibility. Your conviction, however, stays on for 3 years. 2 different clocks. What would you do with a cop going 40 or 50 above without lights on? Depends. 40 or 50 above, 40 over, it may be justified, it may not. We don't have to put our lights on. In fact, going faster than the speed limit is absolutely lawful for us, and putting our lights on is absolutely dangerous because people like you and others tend to do, I'm not saying you would be the person who hits the brakes, but just general public tends to do some crazy things when we put the lights on, like stop right in front of us. That would be deadly at that speed. Now, we'd have to articulate why we're doing it. We're going to be responsible for anything that happens as a result of it. 50 above, we're going to have to be investigated as to why we're going that fast, and we're tracked by GPS. So the investigation's happening regardless of whether or not anything happened or not. So I don't have anything to do with it, but our supervisors would. Hey there. We were just talking about, earlier I talked about the fact that you weren't here, but I was like saying, here is a sergeant that's not here right now.
It's been a while since I've been here.
I was thinking that. How's it going?
Good. We're busy.
Busy is good.
Going through a process for trying to get a new computer system. So, got meetings and meetings and meetings. So
meetings are fun.
No, they're not.
The last question, and this is actually a great one for you to address. It was a question about what do you do with a cop going 40 or 50 above the speed limit without their lights on?
In a police car or in their own car?
Well, in their own car, we know that they're eligible for a ticket like anybody else.
Absolutely.
There's no defense for that. But in a police car, doing it for the right reasons, because we're not talking about, they need to get to the pizza shop. We're talking about working.
Right. So 50 kilometers over is getting to the point where it's very, very dangerous. Your speed differential compared to the vehicles around you can cause quite a bit of damage should you get in a collision. But there are times where you have to go higher than the speed limit, higher than the vehicles around you. Say you're trying to catch up to a speeder that's going at an extreme speed. If you were on the highway and you're trying to catch up to them, I wouldn't turn my lights on quite yet, because sometimes that causes people to do weird things. Maybe the speeder decides, oh my goodness, the police are behind me, I'm going to speed up even more. Why not get up there, identify the vehicle, identify the driver before you try and do a traffic stop?
Absolutely.
The second thing is other people do some silly things when they see lights and sirens. And I've had occasions where people have just slammed on the brakes in the middle of the highway and come to a complete stop because they panicked. So
bad things happen or can happen.
Sometimes it's better, safer, and faster to go without your lights and sirens going. Sometimes it isn't. It all depends. Like every answer we say here, it depends.
It really is the answer, because someone asked about accelerating within the speed limit. Depends on what's going on around. Like, are there people? Are they jumping out to save their lives because they're freaking out? Like, it really depends. LJ says, hi, Sergeant Campbell.
Hello.
And Kay says, thank you for educating people. Why do cops hate car culture, tints, and exhausts, etc.?
I got to tell you, I love car culture.
And so do I, because we're car people and we're motorcycle people, and you're a snowmobile people and boat people.
And jet ski people.
Yeah.
And ATV people.
The assumption, because we hold people accountable for breaking the law, means that we don't appreciate those things. And we can appreciate a show car that's not on the road breaking the law as much as we can, appreciate, the cool customization of a car that makes it look cool. But if it violates safety laws, it's a problem.
Right. And an awful lot has to do with the way it's being driven as well. So the car culture sometimes leads to some, bad driving, bad decision making, and puts lives at risk. So I'm a speed guy. I love going fast. But I know where to do it, and I know where it's less likely to cause injury to other people.
Like on a snowmobile route, on a track, on the water, where you're allowed to do certain things. It depends on where you are. We got a question following up on that. If a cop is above the speed limit and met with an accident, who's responsible? This is one that people really would probably be surprised at. Depends. So,
it all depends. Are we allowed to go faster than the speed limit? Absolutely we are, in the performance of our duty.
And if something happens, are we generally going to be held responsible for it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you'll see that anytime there's a collision involving any police vehicle, not only is there a traffic investigator assigned to it, but a traffic sergeant has to be assigned to it. It gets reviewed by the unit commander of traffic services. It gets reviewed by the unit commander of the person's unit that they're in. It also goes to our professional standards, which is our IA, and it's reviewed there. Internal charges could be laid, and Highway Traffic Act charges or criminal charges could be laid for the police officer as well.
So there's all sorts of things. And if we're determined to have not being right, not only could more training become a result, dock and pay, the charges that you mentioned, there's so many things. At the end of the day, we do what we do for the right reasons. And sometimes it doesn't go the way we planned it. And we still eat it. We're still responsible.
We are probably the most scrutinized of drivers anywhere in the province.
Well, I often say more than doctors, more than lawyers, more than all of them combined, everybody's watching us internally, externally, and the public as well. So, yeah. This was a question that came up earlier, but I didn't have a really good answer for it. This is a friend got a ticket as a passenger. Does it go against their license? What happens if they don't pay it? As a passenger.
As a passenger?
I know they have to ID, but I don't know if it actually goes against their driver's license or not.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah?
It actually would, yep. Yes, it certainly would. So the only time it wouldn't go against their driver's license is if it was in a non-motorized vehicle. So if you're riding a bicycle and you fail to stop at a stop sign and you get a stop sign ticket, that wouldn't affect your driver's license for motor vehicles.
Because we checked the box of motor vehicle not involved.
That's correct. But if you're in a motor vehicle and you committed an offense, then that goes on your record and it could go against your driver's license.
If you don't pay it, that means you may not be able to renew your license.
That's correct.
Okay. Good to know. And I wonder if, even if there's no points, because there's no points for passengers, I wonder if that, like if you don't have a license, how else do they come after you? Civilly? Maybe they sue you, take you to small claims court? I don't know. If you don't have a license, what do they have, to get you to do?
If you don't have a license, then I would imagine it's a Highway Traffic Act offense. One driver's license number would be issued to you, be created. It would stick with you. And if you ever got a driver's license,
You'd be suspended.
You would be suspended.
For non-payment. There you go.
And if you do get a driver's license and want to drive, your insurance company may be able to see that.
Starting off with on a bad foot.
Yeah.
How can I make my dirt bike street legal?
You can't. Well, that's not true. You can. It's not cost effective.
Because so much work to convert something designed for off-road.
It would take so much work. It would take a complete electrical system, new stator, new flywheel, lights, horns, new tires, new brakes. They're not Transport Canada approved when they're as a dirt bike. The process to do that would be very, very expensive. What you can do is just purchase yourself a dual purpose dirt bike, one that does have all the features, functions, and abilities, and ride it on road and off road. Now I know it's not great on road and off road. A dirt bike is really good in the dirt. Mm-hmm. And a road bike is really good in the road, and a dual-purpose bike kind of does both, but none of it really, really well. But that is the most cost-effective way if you want to do it.
We have can a cop stop me for stunt driving once, but charge me twice with stunt driving at the spot?
You could get 2 offenses.
For 2 separate things. I saw you doing it here, I saw you doing it there? That type of thing?
You could, or if you're doing 2 separate things. If it's a marked departure and you're traveling over 150.
Or you had a front wheel up while you were doing 150. 2 different offenses?
Or you had somebody in the trunk while you were speeding.
Okay, so you could have 2 offenses for stunt driving. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never laid the charge twice in one shot for one instance, but I could see how that would work.
And it's also possible to get a careless along with a stunt.
Along with the speeding too.
Along with your driving behavior, that would all dictate of what you are eligible for.
So somebody wanted to know if police officers involved in the collision, are they held personally responsible or are the taxpayers paying for it? And I think it depends. If they get charged, they're going to be personally responsible for that. Could the service be responsible for damages as a result of the insured vehicle that's being operated at the time? They may also be partially responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the City of Toronto's vehicle that police officers are operating, and it's their insurance.
Val, who is always so happy-go-lucky, says, "Cops don't charge cops. Stop lying." Have you watched the news?
You don't know.
We've had cops have their cars impounded for stunt driving.
Yep.
We've had on-duty cops
in police cars
being impounded for do not assume that go look at the news. Read the news and then come back because you are absolutely wrong.
And what makes it to the news is just a little bit of what really actually happens.
Yeah. We can be real petty. You make us look bad, and I mean that. Like, you as a police officer make another police officer. We take pride in our uniform. You do it wrong, we're going to make an example out of you.
There's nobody that hates bad cops more than good cops.
100%. Can I signal to other drivers that there's a speed trap ahead?
By which means? Use your high beams?
Blinking with your eyes.
Using your high beams? No.
Legally, no. You'd be misusing the high beam. You fail to lower beam on oncoming traffic would be a fine. But it's the moral thing. Because Val, once again, spreading joy everywhere, says that's being a good citizen. But what you're doing is getting someone to temporarily adjust their behavior. And you may be responsible for taking a life down the street when the person accelerates back up to speed instead of getting a ticket and changing their behavior.
So the person coming the opposite direction, you want to warn not to speed for a short period of time. But
To
they're,
avoid a ticket.
but they're the people that are speeding on the same road that you're traveling on and putting your life in danger and your families and your neighbors and everybody else. Why would you do that? Allow the bad drivers to get caught, be held accountable for what they're doing. And you, if you're not doing something wrong, get to travel safer roads.
I'm assuming that they're, just feeling bad for the people who might get a ticket. And that's really, there's a lot of cops that, when they're not traffic people, they're not traffic minded. They think, well, we're going to go after the criminals, but not the speeders, because that's just normal people. The problem is we had 45 deaths in Toronto last year because of normal people driving normal cars, but breaking the law in one way or another, not being responsible. 29 of those were pedestrians. Those are lives that may have been saved by not high beaming people. I'm simplifying it overly, but it's a joint resource, our roads. We're all using it, whether you walk, ride, or drive, and we all want our friends and family to get to where they're going safe. And we all hear the tragic ends that people meet because of some driver who chose to do something that made it unsafe. And
Absolutely.
You're contributing to that if you're warning people. Now, Thais asks the question: if someone has over 4 years experience of driving on and off, what class license would they get? I do not understand your question because
Are you coming in from another province,
be it.
another country? You have to explain a little bit more.
Yeah, because if you're usually the 4 years experience is based on supervising someone who has a G1 if you're a G-class driver. But it really depends on what you've got and where you're coming from. You can go to TrafficCop.ca. There's a useful links thing for people who are moving in from other provinces and other countries. So you can certainly use that as a resource. We got a good morning from Jeremy coming in from Muskoka. Can the tourist give us back our roads and lakes there? I'm sure a lot of people out by you would like their roads back.
Yeah, you know what though? You got to remember that the reason people have towns and villages and attractions that survive in tourist areas is because of the tourists that come in, that visit your towns, that bring their money with them. They eat at your restaurants. They shop at your grocery stores. If the grocery store isn't getting business, like a lot of it happens in the wintertime when things slow down, they may not survive without the tourists. So if everybody was to drive great everywhere, including up in Muskoka, where sometimes I go for motorcycle rides, I would appreciate it more as well.
Agreed. Big Bear says, don't give anybody tickets. We pay enough taxes.
I agree.
Except for the fact that, the option would be like jail. Like, what are the options? How do you motivate someone to change behavior if not tickets? Because the option would be like, go dig a hole and fill it in again. Like, do something to...
As a deterrent.
Yes.
What other deterrent is there for bad driving?
Dangerous, unsafe. It's not just bad. It's like bad could just be not good. But we're talking the tickets we are issuing are because we're trying to change behavior to make it safer. So, what is this? Why do cops statistically lower ticket amounts more for women and older people than younger people? I don't know that to be true. I don't do it. I've given warnings. I've reduced tickets in the past. It's not been because of someone's make or model or sex. It's just because it was so close to a threshold that I gave them the benefit of the doubt, or and actually I stopped doing it. Towards the end, I stopped giving reductions.
I actually used to give a break, especially speeding, quite often, and I found that the people that I gave a break to at the roadside were mostly the ones that bring it to court and wanted to fight the whole thing, because I dropped it down to 20 over from 30 or something, and they come in and say, "Well, it's only 20 over. I shouldn't have got a ticket." Until I go in and give the evidence that you were traveling at 30 over, and the justice of the peace has the option to bring it right back up to where it was.
I gave, if it was under 20, I usually reduced it to 15. If it was over 20, I gave them the actual amount. And that was just to avoid points, because people think that's a good thing. But the truth is, tickets, regardless of points, make your insurance go up.
Yep,
points
absolutely.
is for losing your license. So if it was marginal, I didn't want them to lose their license over a minimal amount of speed, but they need to stop speeding, so they still got a ticket. But I remember reducing a speed to avoid a stunt driving charge. Someone was like they were just at the stunt driving. I reduced it a kilometer or two to not take their car, based on the sob story that I ate up. Mascara everywhere, and it was a female in this situation. It wouldn't have mattered if it was a guy. It was just that they were absolutely doing the biggest ugly cry I'd ever seen. And I'm like, this can't be fake. And then I went to court, and that person sent an agent to fight the ticket that I saved them thousands of dollars on and helped them out. And that was the last time I ever gave a break, because I'm like, they ruined it for everybody.
Oh, there you go.
That was my thing. I think we gotta say goodbye. It's 11:30, unless you want to keep going. It's up to you. I'll let you make the call.
I don't know. We can do a few more.
Okay.
I have a meeting at 12.
Okay, we can keep going.
So
I'm okay with that.
maybe we'll do 15 minutes.
Sure. I drive an ex-cop car. I've never been pulled over. Is there a reason as to why?
Maybe you're a good driver.
Maybe. Are you speeding? Are you breaking the law? Are you doing silly things? We're looking at all cars. I mean, speed is speed.
Yep. And you know what? We don't look at the car first before we decide if we're pulling you over.
How about you talk about real problems? These are real problems.
I've got real problems.
There's so many problems. I've got problems. You got problems. The deal is we talk about what people want to talk about, because it's a show that's basically led by you. And if you've got problems you want to talk about, bring them on. We might talk about them. I can't guarantee you, because many people have problems that aren't traffic related. And there's no place in the traffic show about non-traffic stuff.
Although we talk about different things when we can.
Yeah.
We're kind of traffic experts. That's what we like talking about. But ask away if you got something. If we can answer it, we'll do our best.
Absolutely. When a ride program is in operation, will every person have to do a breath test? Depends. Generally speaking, we don't have a policy that says you have to, but they may choose, the officers working that ride, saying that we're gonna stop every car.
So in 2018, the federal government changed the laws to take away the part where we had to suspect that the driver had consumed alcohol or drugs. And that took away the way people were hiding their drinking. So the eligibility has always been there since 2018. Certain jurisdictions have actually quite a long time ago said every car we stop, we're going to do it. It may be today on the ride program. If I'm the supervisor on the ride, I say, okay, guys, every car gets a breath test. Or we decide at the start that every third car is going to get a random breath test. And then we're also going to give ones that we can actually smell the alcohol or the drugs on them. So it depends. We can. We don't have to.
I like that.
It's a good idea. I like it. It takes a lot of time.
Well, we can't stop everybody and stop traffic. So if we're up, very often we'll test that next person we see, as opposed to, because we can't stop the people. We're in a truck. We're dealing with something off the side. So there's no cop stopping anybody at that point. But officers on the road, may stop everybody, or anybody they stop might do a test.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They're catching people who, like OPP right now is testing everyone they stop, period, in the GTA. And they're catching people they would have never caught any other way.
They're actually catching tons of people that shouldn't be on the road.
100%. I saw some good questions here. I got a photo radar ticket for 10 kilometers over the speed limit, $117. Everyone else was going faster. I imagine everyone else got a ticket too if it was photo radar.
10 kilometers over for 117, that doesn't sound...
They're double, but that doesn't make sense.
So 10 kilometers over in a community safety zone.
Which is where automated enforcement is.
Right. Because
it should be $80.
Only there. It should be plus victim surcharge.
Right. So let's, I got a calculator. Let's see what it is. So 10 over is, it's $65. That doesn't make sense that you got 175.
117.
117. Doesn't make sense.
Plus victim surcharge.
Even $15 or $18 on top of that. Still under $100. So something's wrong with your math or their math, I think. This is a good question. How do I park in an accessible spot on a motorcycle without the permit being stolen?
You can't.
Because you can't guarantee it's going to be there when you get back.
And I don't know if they actually issue permits to motorcycles.
Well, they issue permits to persons to be used on motor vehicles. But it's a good question.
Yeah. That is the reason why there is no parking fee anywhere in the city of Toronto for motorcycles. Because at the time when it was a pay and display, there was no way to display your ticket because you didn't have a windshield or a dash to put it on. So they said, you know what? We're going to give motorcycles free.
And it's actually a great way of promoting motorcycles as an alternative mode of transportation. It's less impactful on the environment. At least that's smaller engines, less fuel consumption. Is it smaller footprint of carbon stuff? It's not my thing, but whatever.
Unless you drive a Harley and then is just as bad.
Why did cops never do anything about people cruising in the left lane? I like never statements. Always, never, absolutes. We do, even if you don't see it.
I'm a cop, and I deal with those quite often, actually. So your never is not
Inaccurate.
correct.
It's inaccurate. Is it the focus? I mean, as me speaking as a police officer, traffic guy, I will always focus on the speeder. And it also depends on what is the left lane camper. If the left lane camper is doing the speed limit, I have more of an issue with the person who wants to exceed the speed limit to chase or move around. I acknowledge that if you're going to be doing the speed limit, if you're going to be just moseying along, doing the right thing, stay to the right, because you have the bozos on the left who want to go faster. I generalize. But the camper isn't a problem if you're following the law, if the camper is doing the speed limit.
See, well, I have a totally different philosophy on that. I think that the camper in the left lane causes more people, even though they're speeding, they cause more people to drive in a manner that is more risky when they try and zoom around them and change lanes.
I actually agree with you.
And that's why I deal with the left lane campers.
So yeah, my only problem is the left lane camper wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't for the person breaking the law in the first place. So I understand. I totally understand. So it's the egg, chicken or the egg. They're both issues, which is the bigger issue. The speeder is probably speeding all the time. Like I watch people at light speed. I do the speed limit. I stay in the right lane, and I watch people pass me like I'm not even moving. They're blurs.
Right. Let them deal with their own
100%.
getting caught. Don't camp out in the left lane. Slow them down and have them have to try and change lanes and weave in and out of traffic and causing a danger for everybody, including you that's sitting in the left lane.
Mm-hmm. Are warnings kept on a record of any sort after a traffic stop?
Yes, sir.
But it depends. Because a verbal warning has no record.
But we have written warnings.
But we have printed provincial offenses warnings which go into our system and do stay in the system forever and ever in a day.
Yep. Now, it does not affect your insurance. It does not affect your driver's license in any way. But I guarantee you that if I stop you for an offense and I see that you've been given a warning for the same thing previously, guess what? I can pretty much guarantee I'm giving you a ticket this time.
Yeah. It's a great way of developing a history with us, and we can share that history with other police services. Yeah. You know, if I was ever in, a quick story is I pulled over a guy who had either an expired license or an expired plate or something in the middle of the night when I was working in 12th Division, and it was, I'm just driving my mom to work. It's the middle of the night. She has problems. I knew it was a problem, but I sob story, taking care of mom. You know, I have a mom. I like moms. He drove his mom. I gave him a warning. Nearly a year to the day later, I pulled him over for the same offense, and I said, I remember that excuse. You got a ticket this time. Greg Marshall has an idea for the accessible permit.
Yeah, what's that?
Put it under your kickstand.
Well, yeah, you could until somebody comes by and
it rains.
Takes it.
But he's kidding, of course. But what is this? Do road fines and parking tickets need to be paid before paying for new insurance? They're not related to insurance.
So insurance is sold to you by independent companies. Mm-hmm. Road fines, parking tickets may affect your license plates on your vehicle or your driver's license, depending on which one it is. If you don't have a driver's license, then your car insurance could definitely be affected by it. So that's the only connection that you can get. So,
what did I just see there?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I closed the window too quickly. There was like a warning on the screen.
Oh.
I think. Let me see.
I think he squirreled.
I did. I totally squirreled. Hang on. This is important. Maybe. Maybe not. Here we go. No, it went away. There's a lot of people in the room. 168 people in the live.
Wow.
Yeah. What do we have here?
He's back.
I'm back. Do speed cameras affect your insurance? No. Speed cameras, automated enforcement does not affect your insurance because it's an owner responsibility charge. So it goes against the owner of the vehicle, and it doesn't affect their insurance because they don't know who was driving. Now, other countries handle it differently. They do affect the driver, and in Australia, you can nominate someone to take the ticket. So if you knew your son was the driver, you could say, I'm not taking this for you. You were driving my vehicle, son. You're getting the ticket. I think that's brilliant. I think that's what should happen.
I think so too.
But
if it doesn't affect your insurance, what does it affect?
That's your pocket.
Your bank account.
Yeah. Yep. If your ticket was fought and beaten, does it stay on record?
Beaten?
Well, if you were not convicted. That's because you may not win because you deserve to win. You may have won based on technicality. But if you are not convicted, there's nothing registered. There is nothing on your record.
There's no conviction registered.
But the record of the charges and the evidence and all that stays in our system, similar to that of a warning. It's always there. We'd always reference it. And oddly enough, even if you pay someone and you've got a great defense person who finds ways of getting you out of the situation, we're still paying attention. Yeah.
Yep.
So then the follow-up on the motorcycle thing, okay, cool. Can I park in an accessible parking spot in a lot without displaying my pass? No. You're going to get charged, and then you'd have to go and fight it in court.
And you may be able to actually win that in court, but the offense has failed to display.
Right.
So, no.
It's a valid point. Like it makes sense that there should be options. And some people...
We just don't have one in Ontario.
Yeah. And that's because like license plates themselves in some jurisdictions have accessible stamps on them or like when they run them, it either comes up in the system, but that's not how ours operates. It would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I think you should talk to your MP. Send it up the food chain. You could be the start of some change. What is this? Can people park their motorcycle in front of the storefront as long as it's out of the way? So you mean on the sidewalk? No, that it depends on the jurisdiction you're in, but generally speaking, on the sidewalk or on the boulevard is against the law.
You can park anywhere in the city of Toronto that is a paid parking for free.
Green P on the street.
Green P on the street. But you can't park in a no parking zone. You can't park in a no stopping zone. Can't park in a loading zone, any of those. So, but you do not have to pay the fee if you're properly parked.
$117 ticket is no joke. Okay, so this is in a different province. That's why it's $106.
Gotcha.
Different prices. So we're talking about Ontario. Ontario, oddly enough, has the cheapest, lowest cost speeding tickets in Canada.
Yeah, what a deal.
Yes, we should raise those really, 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 really quickly because, why should Alberta have higher numbers? Like they're winning. Do speeding tickets for under 15 kilometers an hour over the limit affect your insurance and or demerit points? So no demerit points, but do they affect your insurance? And the answer is any ticket, even if it's not having your license on you, can affect your insurance. They're classified. I thought it was 2 for major or minor. There's actually 3 or 4 categories, as it turns out. But the multiple minor tickets, like having no license on in your insurance or paperwork, like not failing to surrender documents, a bunch of those together suggest you don't follow rules very well. You're not paying attention, and maybe you're a higher risk than we originally thought. So insurance companies can determine or can choose based on their own policies what they use to
categorize you as?
What's the word I'm looking for? Calculate threat or risk.
Risk.
Yes. So it depends. Anything could be an increase of insurance. Heck, I canceled my motorcycle insurance, and they decided to look at my file, and they raised my insurance. I'm paying more without my insurance on the motorcycle than when I had the motorcycle insured. I now feel stupid. So I'm shopping for a new insurance company. Hey, insurance company, I might be leaving. What does it take to get my ATV street legal?
What do you mean by street legal?
It's never a car, but in certain jurisdictions, ATVs are legal on the road.
Certain roads in certain municipalities, as long as it is driven within the speed limit, and the speed limit is 20 kilometers an hour maximum on any road under 60 kilometers an hour, or 50 kilometers an hour maximum of any road above that. Or actually above 80 kilometers and above. Sorry, I'm screwing that up. As long as it is allowed, you may travel on the side of the road. If you are riding 2-up, it must be made, the vehicle must be made as a 2-up vehicle. Mm-hmm. And side-by-sides are only allowed on certain roads, which are an awful lot less or infrequent than regular ATV. So a regular ATV is one you straddle. A side-by-side is when you sit in and operate like a car.
And you have to have a G2 or better license.
That's correct. Has to be insured, and you have to have an off-road vehicle plate, and your headlight has to be on at all times.
It's good to know. I've never done this on the road. I've ridden ATVs, but never on the road. I don't go anywhere. I don't have an ATV, so it's been like on private property wherever I've used them. They are fun though.
Yes, they are.
What steps are the Toronto Police and OPP taking to stop street takeovers? Well, but oddly enough, we do a lot. There's so many things as our officers are out on the road looking to enforce rules. I mean, we can't prevent people from doing things. We have to catch people doing things to stop them from doing it again. But there are a lot of great laws that we put into practice whenever we come across it.
Keep an eye on the news. Next week, there'll be a big traditional media release about a joint forces campaign that we're going to be doing with our neighboring municipalities to combat this. And we're going to be using lots of technology and equipment like helicopters and things like that. Yep. And we're going to be addressing it for sure.
Anyone who's been with the Toronto Police for 20 years knows.
Yeah.
There was people on the police radios when we had our they were pretending to be in. It was ridiculous. It was very funny.
That was when we had a helicopter for a little while, and unfortunately, I don't think the citizens of Toronto liked it.
It was noisy.
It was too noisy, so we got rid of it.
But now we have Blue Thunder, so it's going to be in stealth mode.
Really?
Did you ever watch?
I remember Blue Thunder.
I loved it. The TV show sucked, but the movie was great. I think I have that on VHS. And people are like, VH what? Oh, I'm old apparently. What do we got here? Can you train your siblings in an empty parking lot if they don't have a driver's license? So there's no charge for driving a vehicle on private property, simply not having a license. Is it safe? Is it a good idea? Could you be responsible for the cost of your vehicle in the event that a collision occurred, you damaged property, and police investigated and saw that it was there's so many what-if possibilities. Is it a good idea? No. But it's legal.
Yeah, and you know what? If they're going to learn, and they're going to learn early, do it off the road. Mm-hmm. Now, there's no exception for stunt driving, so if your younger sibling or anybody wants to, do donuts or something like that, even in the farmer's field, stuff like that, you can be charged for that. I grew up in a farming community, and we drove cars in the field all the time. Working in the field, doing fencing, doing stuff like that. We would drive cars, trucks for a farmer.
And on private property, perfectly legal. Now, that was before stunt driving charges became eligible for private property. So if you're teaching your 15-year-old, nephew, cousin, friend, brother, sister, whatever, on private property, and they start doing donuts, they could still be charged under the stunt driving charges. Now, we have a question about what age would you say is the lowest for hiring new constables? Used to be, we'd say about 34 was the average. That means that people earlier or younger could be hired. But what's most common?
Well, they're asking what's
lowest,
the lowest,
sorry.
the youngest.
I don't know what the lowest is. And the average is getting lower because we are hiring younger people.
I believe it's 21.
Is the lowest?
I believe so.
It used to be that 21 was the youngest you could carry a firearm. I don't know if that's still the rule.
Right. I know that previously they were hired at 18 as a cadet, but they couldn't carry a firearm at that time, and they're just kind of like a cadet in training as they go about. So we do hire we hire a whole bunch of people to do a whole bunch of jobs. And if you're underneath the mandatory age, maybe you start somewhere else and then transition into police officer from there.
It's a career with many job opportunities. We both started as court officers. In fact, I actually started as a auxiliary constable, and then 6 months later became a court officer and did both of those until I became a police officer. At the end of the day, if you want to become a police officer, look at the organization you want to work for, learn everything there is to know, apply at whatever you can get in on. And very often you'll go in saying, I want to be a cop. And I'll say, you're a little young for a cop. How about you do this? And we have lots of good people. Now, there are also police services that have reinstituted their cadet programs. So there are options for you. Just know that if you become a cadet and you screw up, they probably won't hire you as a cop.
That's true.
And if you get hired as a cop, then you screw up, then they'll just find somewhere to hide you.
But if you get hired in another job or a cadet and you do really, really well, you may be the first eligible over a new hire to go to the police college.
100%. Y'all on TikTok Live instead of looking for stolen cars and taking care of the people. Well, I'm on TikTok Live because I do this as a regular show. Both of us are media relations officers, and we are people inside the building because we have stuff and things we do here. There are people out there looking for stolen vehicles all the time. It's just not us. We are in the education business, and that is a really important role, despite the fact that it upsets people that were on TikTok sometimes.
And right now, I'm not out there looking for stolen cars, but Later on this afternoon, I may be.
Yes. Well, because
I
you do some
multiple
specialized
things,
stuff.
and I go out on the road times, and I go to the pounds, impound lots of times. So stolen cars are my specialty, actually.
It's true. Life wants to know, do you exchange information with other cops around the world to learn new ways? Absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, we had a police officer coming and visiting us from Australia. We talked about stuff and things. We toured around about things because he wanted to learn about the way we do things. We regularly do training and things. We have, work with the NYPD. We have officers that went to Dubai to exchange information and train with them. We're always, it's a big world of policing, and we always exchange information.
We are constantly working in joint forces capacities. There's an ongoing one all the time, and we learn and exchange and pass information around. So
That's the time.
I got to run.
You got to do your thing.
I got a thing to do. So
You should do that thing.
it's been a ball, but I got to bounce.
There you go. We have wait, you got to hear the dad joke that Akila shared.
Okay, last one, and then I'm going.
Okay.
I'll hear it from the door because
You'll hear it from the door?
If I stand here, I know I'll squirrel.
There you go. Okay, so we have the dad joke is my wife just completed a 9-month bodybuilding program this morning. It's a girl. She weighs 8 pounds and 3 ounces. That's good.
I'm laughing.
He's laughing. All right, and with that, I'm saying goodbye because I got to go. The question remains: do we? Which version of what song do we play? Is it the original or the modified? Hang on. It is not queued up, but I'm going to queue it up because we're going to share it. Oh yeah, we're talking about the original song here. This is the traffic song, which I love, but it's the traffic rock version, or maybe it's metal. That's why I didn't find it last time. Metal, traffic metal. Hang on, traffic song metal. Can I find it? Is it going to find it? Why can't I find it? We're going to say traffic song. Come on. Is it the traffic song? Oh, because I'm not in my library. I'm in their library. Traffic song. Come on. Has to be the right heading. Here we go. Metal. And then it doesn't play. Why it doesn't play? Oh, because I have to tell it the output. This is so smooth. All right. I put it on mute. Roadcaster, 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 road. And then, of course, because I have a website open on the other side, it started looping. Here we go. Is it not working? No, it's the wrong bloody... Come on. No, stop. I'm frustrated. Traffic metal. Come on, I just had it. Now we have it.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelts save your life indeed. Watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed. You might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I love that version. I really, really, really love that version. Isn't it great when technology doesn't cooperate? It really, really, really goes smooth when it's not smooth. I got to load that song up as a permanent playlist in my pad because I like the original, but I love the metal version. And Ryan says the metal version slaps. Awesome. Maddie says, hi, Maddie. Here's, I'm sure, a serious question from Asan. How many donuts have you devoured so far? Do you mean in a lifetime? I'm sure that's a lot, but in the last year or so, I'm not really a big donut person. I mean, occasionally, but donuts aren't my thing. Chicken wings? I mean, I might have to make chicken wings for dinner. I bought a kilo of, or is it 1.6 kilos? I went to Costco. I bought chicken wings, and I have an air fryer, and the combination is magic. Are subwoofers a ticketable offense? No. Is loud music a ticketable offense? Yes. Unnecessary loud noise. Hassan says, not gonna lie, I had wings. We got, I don't know how to decode your name. So 17 says, thanks for all the advice. Pleasure. All right. With that, I say goodbye. It's been almost 2 hours, and it has been a blast to be here with you. Don't forget that we do this most weekdays from 10 a.m. onwards. I say onwards because to say an hour is so unrealistic. It's at least an hour and like 5 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 and a bit, but we're cutting it off at 2 hours today. What else? If you are not aware, you can get this as a downloadable podcast, synchronized magic. You can get this on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, Spotify, and a whole bunch of others. You can go to, AATC.TrafficCop.ca. You can also go to ASKaTrafficCop. Actually, it probably works for ASKaTrafficCop.com too. But if you go to TrafficCop.ca, you can get all of our socials. You can join us everywhere because we care. We want you to be able to have access. LJ says, great show. And of course, I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. Great show. Ooh. Bebop says there's a... and by the way, thank you, LJ. Bebop says, big accident, Midland and Kingston, multiple crashes, including school bus and a bicycle. That sounds horrible. I don't know anything about it. I'm just going based on what you said, but no collision's a good collision. Is loud music considered a disruption? What kind of ticket would it be considered? It's a Highway Traffic Act ticket for unnecessary noise, whether it's your exhaust system, your stereo, or your horn. If it's not necessary, the safe operation of your motor vehicle and the observations made by an officer say it was unnecessary, it's unnecessary. If you're in Toronto and you get a ticket for exhaust being too loud, that's different. There's also a bylaw. The ticket for the stereo would be a $110 ticket. The ticket for your exhaust would be $500 in the city on top of the other ticket. Can you apply to be an officer if your dad has a criminal record? Yes, generally speaking. If dad's it depends on your relationship with dad. It depends on what the criminal record is. Talk to a recruiter is the best thing. But yeah, it's not your criminal record. But if it's bad stuff, and you're you have to address it. You live with dad? You don't live with dad? They're arm's length dad? You're very welcome to. Is it just O? What is the actual name of that character? Although. Road uses it as the O in theirs. So, hey, Tracy, late, but here. Good to see you. Oh, what a great idea. Can we treat cell phone users the same as we treat DUI drivers? I think it's going to get that way. I think we're going to see suspensions, roadside, and vehicle impoundments. I think that's where it has to go to really change it. Sir, when was you got a traffic ticket? When did I get a traffic ticket? I was like 16 or 17. I got 2 of them, speeding and a stop sign. And it changed my behavior. Anyway, I started saying goodbye, then I stopped saying goodbye. Now I'm saying goodbye. Have a great day. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and smile because you know what? It looks good on you. Have a great day.